I'm back here at Chez Josephine Restaurant on Theater Row with our show about shows, Play by Play. I'm joined with my friend and colleague from New York One on stage, Frank DiLella, and we're here with a man who never sleeps, David Rockwell, the architect and designer and head of the firm, the Rockwell Group. David designs theaters, museums, hospitals, even playgrounds, and he's just crazy enough to design Broadway sets. He's earned rave reviews for his sets for Hairspray, The Normal Heart, Catch Me If You Can, and this season is represented by two shows, Dead Accounts and Kinky Boots.
Sure.
And he's making his Broadway debut as a producer next season with the highly anticipated Houdini. Welcome.
Thank you.
Kinky Boots opened in Chicago. It's on its way to New York. And the big number, Frank, was Everybody Says Yeah.
And it's the end of the first act. It's a treadmill number. You have all these treadmills coming out, and the actors are dancing on them. I've never seen anything like it on a stage. Where did the treadmills come from, David?
Upstate New York.
Literally.
The treadmills came out of a point of view. So this is our sixth show, I think, with Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
So we
That's
had
Jerry Mitchell, who is the director and choreographer.
right, and we worked with him originally as a choreographer on Rocky Horror, and then Hairspray, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Catch Me If You Can, and then as a director on Legally Blonde. And then as a choreographer, he loves to really use the set for movement. I thought one of the keys to Kinky Boots was, in fact, to create a place that was a kind of romantic look at that type of building, that factory. And as an architect, one of the things I'm most interested in is craft and how things are made and revealing how things are made. And one of the really interesting things about the show is it's about this third generation shoe factory. And every part of the set has some backstory and works. So the rivets that connect the beams become the lights in the drag club when Lola appears.
I guess we should describe the show briefly, Frank.
So the show is obviously based on the movie that came out of the UK, and it stars Billy Porter and Stark Sands.
Phenomenal, both of them.
Yeah.
Incredible performances they're giving. Billy Porter plays a drag queen who relies on Stark, whose family owns a big shoe factory to make these kinky boots for the drag queens and his friends.
Form always follows function, I gather, for this set. Did you feel hemmed in by the fact that you had to create a set that would allow them to dance and trot out their numbers?
No, I actually felt sort of freed and inspired by it, and I think the overlap between architecture and theater for me is that it's both story-driven. And for Kinky Boots, Jerry went to Northampton, did extensive research, and I actually felt some of the most amazing theatrical productions I've seen that I've been inspired by are environments that don't require big, huge mechanical transformation. And I felt that for this show, actually, a place that was a factory where every detail had some backstory would give it a kind of authenticity that when we go to big musical numbers like Everybody Say Yeah, which required engineering treadmills that could separate, be remote controlled, and allow someone to stand on either side and dance, not a project you usually get as an architect, that became what was thrilling about the design project, is that the audience has taken on this journey where they look at this place and they get a sense of the history of it, and then it's full of surprises.
And then moving on the conveyor belt from Kinky Boots to Houdini.
Yes.
You're producing this, obviously. I know that you love magic tricks as a background. Was this your idea? Did Hugh Jackman come to you? Did Jack O'Brien come to you? Aaron Sorkin, of course, is writing the book.
Stephen Schwartz is doing the music.
Stephen Schwartz. How did you get involved?
It's a confluence of things, but I'd always been interested in magic. And after Hairspray opened up, all of these friends of mine who are writers talked about interest in doing musicals. People who you would never think were interested in doing musicals, such as Aaron Sorkin, who was very interested in this period in time. So it was a notion I had. I went to Jack with the idea. We spent a year or two with a lot of other writers. I mean, I've been working on it for 7 or 8 years. And then I approached Scott Sanders, who's someone I'd known for a long time as a friend. It's been fascinating because first of all, I realize how difficult producing is now, and I understand that it's really about empowering the creative team. So Stephen Schwartz and Aaron and Jack are deep at work with Hugh and developing something that I think is going to be really surprising and not expected.
What was the one thing that reeled Hugh Jackman in?
Well, I think it was a bunch of things. I think I had just worked with Hugh Jackman in 2009 on the Oscars, which was the first year. We did the theater 15 years ago as an architect.
Right, right.
And then when I had a chance to work there as a set designer, I realized that every architect who does a theater should have to work it as a designer to understand what. So Hugh was interested in Houdini, and he had been intrigued by magic. He loved Aaron's work, and he loves Jack. And then as Stephen started to work on it, the work was quite extraordinary and right in, I think, Hugh's wheelhouse.
Yeah. And I think Hugh went on record saying he thinks it's Stephen's best score ever. And this is a man who did Pippin, Godspell, Wicked, the big phenomenal hits.
He's done some hits.
And that's why it's such a highly anticipated musical. Thank you for joining us. You can always read play-by-play at artinfo.com.